What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the Fantasy Pros Football YouTube channel. I'm Mike Tagliere, here to host with you guys another Week 10 sit start, whatever questions you have for me. Try and get through as many as I possibly can for the next hour. If you guys are new here, the way that this works is basically I go through the injuries at the start of the show, give you the, because some people don't pay attention all week. We want to give you an idea as to the players that are out to make sure you get out of your lineups, the impact of those injuries, and then we get into as many questions as you possibly can throw at me. So I'm going to start with the injuries right now and just run through these real quick, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions in regards to the questionable players and whatnot. So the players that are out of lineups right now, Jacoby Brissett is not playing. Brian Hoyer will be starting in his place. I don't think it's necessary that you have to target Brian Hoyer or anything like that. He's not a bad spot start if you're in a pinch. Matthew Stafford is out. That's the biggest news of the morning, is that he was considered questionable, but he's not going to go. He has some fractures in his back. This is something that Tony Romo dealt with a couple of years back, and they ended up shutting him down actually for a little bit. So it's something to pay attention to moving forward. They're saying he could be out anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks, but he's not playing today. That's going to downgrade guys like Kenny Galladay, Marvin Jones, even Danny Amendola slightly. So that's a big one. James Conner, not going to play in this game. You're going to get more Jalen Samuels. Benny Snell, I also believe, is ruled inactive. So there should be a lot of Jalen Samuels. It's a lot tougher matchup this week, but it is what it is. Let's see. Adam Thielen is out with that hamstring injury. He tried coming back last week. Didn't really pan out. So, yeah, he's out for this game. Stephon Diggs should see plenty of targets, enough to get him into that low-end wide receiver one conversation. T.Y. Hilton is also out. We kind of knew that already. He was going to miss, they said 3 to 4 weeks, so we're on week number 2 of that. A.J. Green is out. He was supposed to return this week, and that's not happening. So A.J. Green, they're saying they're going to be week to week with him. It's really tough to say what that means. Another tough matchup for them against the Rams today. So it'll be more interesting to see how Ryan Finley does, in the starting job altogether, because it's not a good situation he's walking into. Paris Campbell also out for the Colts. He's not playing. That means Zach Pascal is Chester Rogers and Zach Pascal are the only 2 Colts wide receivers that you would even consider in fantasy football. Brandon Cooks also out dealing with that concussion. They say they do expect him to come back at some point this season. They don't know when. Sterling Shepard, also concussion issues, not going to play. Evan Ingram out this week. He is dealing with a mid-foot sprain. That's usually a multi-week thing. He was dealing with a sprained MCL. Evan Ingram's probably going to be out a couple weeks, so don't plan on him. Delaney Walker's also out. So it's like a laundry list of things that we are dealing with out this week. So in a week that's considered bye week hell, this is the biggest bye week of the year, where there's 6 teams on bye. So guys that are doubtful, that are not expected to play, that would be Corey Davis and George Kittle. Those are big. That's big news, especially considering people, again, they were relying on Corey Davis through the bye weeks. George Kittle, that's a massive one. If you have George Kittle and you want to hold out hope, which you probably shouldn't at this point, you can grab Ross Dwelly. He's available on waivers. You can grab Jacob Hollister. Those are the 2 tight ends that are going to be playing in that game. Questionable, Amari Cooper. They're expecting him to play, dealing with that knee injury that required an MRI this week. Juju Smith-Schuster, he popped up on the injury report midweek, which is never a good thing, but they're saying that he's going to play through a toe injury. They're expecting him to play, I should say. Marquise Brown, expected to play. Chris Herndon, also expected to play, but keep in mind that he was active last week. He did not play a single snap. It was more of an emergency role. They could ease him in with Ryan Griffin, so he's not a great play right now. So it's just, it's pretty rough dealing with that with him as a tight end. So I would say wait a week if at all possible with Chris Herndon, and just hope that he's on the field for the majority of snaps this week. So yeah, that's the injury news that I really wanted to cover this morning. We're going to get in, as we usually do, to all of the start-sit questions. But guys, do me a favor, before we get into that, go down, click that little like button. It really does help out the show. It helps out the channel. It helps us grow. And it suggests that you guys do enjoy these videos, and so that we can do more things like this in the future. And then if you guys would be so inclined, click the subscribe button. You get notified when we do videos. We do a waiver wire show on Tuesdays, and then Bobby does his start or sit show on Thursdays. So yeah, we're gonna continue to do more and more. But thank you guys so much for showing up, as you guys always do on Sunday mornings. That's what we're here for. So let's get to the questions. Ryan asks, good morning. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to throw this out there because I always try and remember, and I forget at times. Narrow your question down to 3 players or less, because if you throw so many, it's difficult for me to sit there and sift through them, and I can't get to as many questions. So keep your questions to 3 players or less. Otherwise, I have to skip over it. I'm sorry. But anyways, Ryan asks, good morning. Full PPR, I need a tight end. Gerald, Everett, TJ Hawkinson, Mike Gesicki. Thanks. I'm probably just going to go with Gerald Everett here. Pittsburgh has been a really tough team for wide receivers. Gerald Everett has been seeing a lot of opportunity in this offense. He's actually number 2 in the among tight ends and air yards per game since back in week 5. So he's been getting a lot of opportunity. We know Brandon Cooks is out. It should lead to more opportunities for him. I do like Gesicki, but it's a smaller sample size with him. So I'd say Everett. Pops asks Parker over Metcalf. Yes, I would play Devante Parker over Metcalf. I'm a little worried about Metcalf, right? Because he's a guy that he doesn't see a whole lot of volume. Obviously, the biggest 2 volume games of the year for him were when Russell Wilson threw for more than 40 pass attempts, which is not going to happen all that often. Now you have Josh Gordon being added into the mix. So it's like a guy that was seeing, in between 4 and 7 targets per game. We could see Metcalf dip down into like 3 to 5 targets per game. He has that big play potential, but he's more of like a wide receiver 4 moving forward. Whereas Parker is a guy that if you remove Devante Parker's name, people would be starting him over Robert Woods every single week because he's been producing. Jason says, verify tags on Twitter. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it, man. Latavius Murray or Marquise Brown, full PPR. I'd probably go at Latavius here just because it's the guaranteed touches. Marquise Brown is listed as questionable for this game. He's expected to play. Same thing with Lamar Jackson. But I just don't think they're going to throw the ball a whole lot against the Bengals. I mean, the matchup's fine. It's absolutely fine. And the Bengals are not a team that you have to worry about in matchups, but it's more about the guaranteed touches for Latavius Murray. He's going to be in that Mark Ingram role. Some people have been worried about Alvin Kamara. I'm not one of those people, but it all comes back to, is there enough touches to go around? Against Atlanta, there absolutely should be. There should be a lot of scoring in that game. So I'm going to go Latavius. Ricardo asked Fitzgerald, Deebo Samuel, or Ted Ginn, full PPR. So I have Fitzgerald slightly higher than Ted Ginn. I do like actually all of these options. I think they're all pretty good options this week, but I'm going to go at Larry Fitzgerald here. It's just too good of a matchup to pass up against Tampa Bay. They've really struggled all over the field, but particularly in the slot. So with him and Christian Kirk, I like them both an awful lot this week. Fitzgerald, I'm not going to go crazy and say that he's like a top 25 receiver or anything like that, but he is someone that I would trust in lineups. I'm sorry, I have there was like a little, I'm gonna pretend that it was like an ant, but I think it was a spider that's crawling on the top of my webcam, so it was freaking me out a little bit. So I'm sorry about that, because, well, I'm not a big fan of spiders. All right, so Larry Fitzgerald would be my pick there. I do like Ted Ginn as a solid guy. If you're looking for someone in your league right now and you're like, I don't know who to start, and I had Corey Davis or something like that, pick up Ted Ginn. He should be a solid bye week replacement. All right, let's see. D. Bresh, Ty Johnson or Deante Johnson. I'm going to go with Ty Johnson. I don't trust Mason Rudolph at all. I have actually Juju Smith-Schuster around like wide receiver 30 this week. I'm not a big fan of him. Deante Johnson, he had performed like with Mason Rudolph, but a lot of it was really touchdown dependent. And do we expect him to throw a lot of touchdowns in this matchup? I just don't like relying on him. I'll take the guaranteed touches. I don't think Ty Johnson's I don't think he's a bad play. Stafford's out. They're not going to have Jeff Driscoll throw the ball nearly as much as they would have had Stafford throw the ball. And the Bears have now allowed 6 rushing touchdowns in their last 4 games. So it's like they're really struggling without Akeem Hicks up the middle of the field. So I'd play Ty Johnson. I have him as like a low-end RB2, high-end RB3 this week. Jameis Winston or Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that's got to be a DFS question, I think, because I don't know why you'd own both of those. And if you do own both of them, I would trade away one of them because, well, quarterback, you just don't need 2 of them, especially ones that you're deciding every week. I would play Rodgers personally. I can't sit Rodgers for Winston because it's like you think about the aftermath and say, would I kick myself for benching Rodgers if he outproduced Jameis Winston? And then like ask yourself the flip-flop, you'd definitely be mad at yourself for sitting Aaron Rodgers. So Winston, he's a little too up and down. He can legitimately cost you your week, and Rodgers, it should be a safe play while he's at home. John asked, half PPR, choose 1 RB, 1 flex. Carson, Samuels, Kirk. Carson for sure. You're starting Carson. That's not even a question. And then Jalen Samuels. For whatever reason, I thought it was Curtis Samuel, but Carson for sure. And then I would play. I think I would go Christian Kirk. I mean, Jalen Samuels is a guy that should see. I mean, he should touch the ball 15 times in the game, which is always difficult to pass that up. But I'm not really excited about his matchup this week. The Rams are not a team that I feel like he's going to do a lot of damage against. I like Jalen Samuels last week. I thought he was a good play. I thought he would catch a lot of passes against that Colts zone-heavy scheme, and he did. I just don't know if I like him so much this week. That one's tough. Carson for sure. Samuels has the higher floor than Kirk for sure, but if you're looking for upside, I think Kirk has it. Matt asked, half PPR, sit 1, Mixon, Latavius Murray, Crowder. Man, this is tough because like Mixon, it's like you think, how can I bench a running back that is a starting running back? But he's not involved very much in the passing game. They're going to be without Cordy Glenn again. This offensive line is just terrible. The Ravens are a really, really good run defense. I'm not excited about Mixon here. I'd probably sit him, to be honest with you. I could see Latavius Murray getting in the end zone, and that would outscore Joe Mixon most of the time. So I'll play him over him, and Crowder should rack up some receptions against the Giants. I mean, they've really struggled in the slot. Justin asked Ted Ginn or Slayton for a flex. I threw a like down. I'm not. Oh, I appreciate that, Justin. You liked it. I got it. I would go Ted Ginn there. Darius Slayton is like that guy that. Okay, I moved him into my top 50 wide receiver plays for the week, considering, no Sterling Shepard, no Evan Ingram. But the Jets have not, they haven't been an overly, giving defense to passing games. And Daniel Jones has been just a little bit too volatile, and they haven't given Darius Slayton a whole lot of opportunity. He can do well. He scored 2 touchdowns in one game the other week. Those were his only 2 catches, but they were big boy touchdowns. They were really, they were like he went up and got him. He looked like an NFL wide receiver, but Daniel Jones has been a little too inconsistent, whereas Ted Ginn, in his career, the stats, I don't have it in front of me right now, but I want to say Ginn has played 22 games in his career with Drew Brees in the Saints offense, and in those games, he's finished as a wide receiver 3 or better, and half of them. That's something that you really don't find through much bye week. So going against the Falcons, obviously, it's a plus matchup, so I'll say Ted Ginn. All right. Let's see. Andrew says, good morning, Tex. Good morning. I hope you're doing well. Doing awesome. Flex spot, half PPR, Darrell Henderson or Alexander Madison. Can I say neither? This is a tough one. Neither of these guys are great fits for me. The Rams, they're getting Malcolm Brown back this week, so he's playing. And it just further clouds this timeshare, right? Like the Rams are not averaging a whole lot of touches for their running backs. I want to say that the number is under 24 touches per game. So it's like when you figure out Gurley and you figure out Malcolm Brown getting a couple, it's like, where is he fitting in? I don't think Madison's a great play though either. I mean, I guess I go with Henderson. I don't really like it though. I think that there's probably better options out there. Let's see. Morning Tags. Good morning. Sorry, it skipped over. I just kind of moved down, and sometimes it scrolls down, so I just grab where they're at. Let's see, Kenny Galladay or Ridley, half PPR. I'd play Calvin Ridley. I had Calvin Ridley right close to Galladay before the Matthew Stafford injury was ruled out, so I'm going to say that Calvin Ridley is the play for me. Jason asks, standard tight end, Cook, Howard, or Hawkinson? Okay, so I'm a glutton for punishment, and I'm going to say O.J. Howard. I like O.J. Howard this week. I understand that, people have been burned by him, but really, I want you to sit down and go look at TJ Hawkinson's numbers. I want you to go look at Jared Cook's numbers. They've been terrible. So it's like outside of week 1 where Hawkinson had a big week, the reason people are so mad about OJ Howard is because of where he was drafted. It has nothing to do with his production, because his production has been a little bit up and down. It's fine. It's nothing exciting, but at the same time, look at the tight ends you're debating over him. Like Jared Cook's been legit awful. I don't think he's totaled more than 40 yards this year. He's coming off an ankle injury. He's not the guy that people thought he was going to be, and I didn't like him to begin with. Hawkinson, again, a rookie going through some struggles, dealing with the backup quarterback now. O.J. Howard's the easy choice for me in this one. I know some people are tainted by O.J. Howard, but you have to step back and say, okay, I'm mad at O.J. Howard. I get it. But at the same time, you have to say, let me look at his numbers overall when you compare them to the other guys that you're talking about. And it's like, O.J. Howard hasn't been that bad. So there is room for obvious growth with him. And against the Cardinals, it's just the best matchup in the NFL for tight ends. Frank asks, hey, Tags, thanks for your help. Of course. Ann Brown, Mark Andrews, or Josh Gordon. I'm not sure who Ann Brown is. I think Antonio Brown whenever I see Ann Brown, but he's obviously not playing. Mark Andrews or Josh Gordon, it would be Mark Andrews for sure. I don't want to trust Gordon in his first game back in a tough matchup. So, yeah, I'm not sure that Ann Brown, I'm not sure who that is. I don't know if I'm just being dumb right now or not, but Mark Andrews would be the one that I would say. Let's see. Should I sit Kenny Galladay or Marvin Jones or sit both? Dre, it really depends on who you're sitting them for. I moved Kenny Galladay down to around the wide receiver 20 range, so you probably don't have someone that I'd play over him. I didn't like Marvin Jones really that much to begin with. He's down in the wide receiver 35 range, so, it just depends on who you're sitting them for, as always. It's just really tough to sit those guys this week because you know their potential. You know they're Galladay's will go up and get at receiver. Jones can have that big play potential, but against the Bears, it was already a tough matchup. Now dealing with the backup quarterback, but we have 6 teams on bye. I looked at some of the waiver wires in my leagues, and it's like they're desolate, man. There's not much there. Bing bong day, full PPR. Are Samuels versus LA or Hollywood at Cincinnati safer plays than Gurley at Pittsburgh? No, Samuels is in the conversation, but I don't think he's necessarily safer than Gurley. Definitely not Hollywood. Hollywood's a boomer bust play every single week. He hasn't had very many big weeks, and again, we don't anticipate the Ravens going into Cincinnati and throwing the ball a whole lot. They shouldn't be doing that. Nolan asked Lockett or Cooper PPR. I would play Cooper right now. I know there's some risk to it, obviously dealing with that knee injury, but the matchup is better than Lockett's. So I have Cooper slightly higher. I think they're both good plays, but if this is a DFS question, great. If not, then trade something, put a 2-for-1 trade in and get a stud, an every week stud that you can stick in your lineup. But these guys are arguably both studs. I don't know how you can't start both of them. Hey Tags, who would you choose for the flex spot this week? Zach Pascal or Latavius Murray? Standard scoring. I'm usually one for going with guaranteed touches. I don't know how many guaranteed touches Latavius Murray is going to get. I would anticipate he's probably going to get 8 to 12 touches in this game. Zach Pascal, really one of the only receiving threats. Zach Kane or Deante Johnson was someone that was stepping into the starting lineup in 3 wide receiver sets and rotating. And with Paris Campbell out, with T.Y. Hilton out, they cut Kane this week. So it's wow. I don't think they're going to be throwing the ball a whole lot in this matchup, but Pascal should be the guy that they go to, 6+ times. I'd probably go Pascal, but it's really, really close. Omar asked DJ Moore or Marquise Brown. I would play DJ Moore. Yeah, DJ Moore for sure. Marquise Brown, again, Marquise Brown's a good receiver, but they don't throw the ball a whole lot. He's been a little boomer bust. He's coming off, he's dealing with injuries nonstop. There's just a lot of question marks there. Aaron says, please and thank you tags, of course. Options PPR, Singletary, DK Metcalf, or Reynolds. I would go the safe route here at Singletary for sure. Reynolds, it's a terrible matchup against the Steelers, and I know that some people are looking at last week and thinking, well, the Colts just did well. It was kind of like a weird game, right? When there's a backup quarterback that comes in and you might take a step back and almost underestimate the competition. I think that might have happened because the Steelers had not allowed a wide receiver more than 12.2 PPR points since way back in week 2 when they got Minkah Fitzpatrick. This is a game they're coming into against the Rams. They know it's at stake. They're a team trying to fight to make the playoffs. So I'm not a huge fan of Reynolds this week. DK Metcalf, I talked about him and the fact that I think the target numbers drop a little bit with Josh Gordon there. Going to rely a little bit more on the bigger play. Singletary has outsnapped Frank Gore massively over the last 2 weeks. They gave him a lot more touches last week. I do think that that's going to be the case going forward. And oddly enough, in that game, this is one of those Vegas things where it's why are the Browns favored in this game? I feel like it's one of those things where they know more than they want to let people believe, because how do you not say that the Bills are the better team? They are, but Singletary, the best part about him is that he's game script proof. If they do fall behind the Browns and if Vegas is right, then Singletary is a lot more involved in the passing game. Devon asked PPR, AJ Brown or Curtis Samuel. I have Curtis Samuel higher. I think that game the cold definitely concerns me about it. I've lowered my expectations for that game a little bit. But Curtis Samuel, with what Green Bay allows, they allowed, I think it's an average of 17. I'm going to look at it just so I can I don't want to misquote the stats. They have allowed, the Packers defense has allowed 17.4 yards per reception this year to wide receivers. That is the most. There's nobody else over 15.6 yards per reception. So, when you look at that and you know that Curtis Samuel's average depth of target is almost double what DJ Moore's is, he's the downfield receiver. They've been getting him air yards. So I do like Curtis Samuel quite a bit this week. AJ Brown should be a higher target share. He played 50 snaps last week, a lot higher than his previous career high of 39. Corey Davis out, but Kansas City hasn't been like necessarily like a matchup to attack with wide receivers. It's not a bad matchup. I do like A.J. Brown as a wide receiver 3, but I have Samuel higher. Zachary Breen, good morning, Tags. Good morning. Watson on bye, need a quarterback. Baker, Danny Jones, or Sam Darnold. I mean, people are probably going to hate me for this, but I'd say Darnold. Baker's not in consideration. He hasn't thrown for more than 1 touchdown all year. The matchup against Buffalo is brutal. It's terrible. If they want to win that game, they got to keep the ball on the ground. Daniel Jones, a little inconsistent. I know he runs a little bit, but I think the Jets defense is probably better than the Giants. So knowing that Sam Darnold he's been rough, I get it. But if I actually said this last week, my wife, she was asking me about something, and I said, the hard thing with football is that one play can change, the perceived value of a player, right? And Sam Darnold last week, for example, he went against the Miami Dolphins. Everybody knows that, right? He finished that game with just 12.5 fantasy points, 260 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Okay, there was one play in that game. One play, and it arguably should have gone his way, is that one play in that game where he threw a touchdown to Ryan Griffin. It was like a 10, 15-yard pass. So you throw in 10, 15 yards passing, another passing touchdown. The next play, because they overturned it when he went into the wall, it was weird, but they overturned it. The next play, he throws an interception. So it legit, that play itself had like a 7-point swing. So he could have went from a guy that scored 12 fantasy points to one that scored 19. And then all of a sudden people wouldn't be saying, you can't play him at all. So it's like almost like you have to look at stuff like that and say it's a game of inches, right? And a game of one play can change things. Against the Giants are actually a better matchup than the Dolphins. And that's crazy, right? But they've been terrible. So I'm going to go Darnold and hope for the best. Stronger flex play this week between Tevin Coleman, David Montgomery, and Jamal Williams. David Montgomery is my choice for sure. I have David Montgomery in as a top 12 running back play this week. He's an RB1. There's not a whole lot I'm worrying about with him. So yeah, that's where I'm at. All right, let's see. Ricky asked DJ Moore, Watkins, or Robert Woods. Non-PPR, need one of these. I have Evans. All right, so let's see. DJ Moore over Watkins, yes. Over Robert Woods, yeah, I would play DJ Moore here. Again, the Packers, that team is really struggling with their identity on defense. They don't really, it's really tough to know which way they're going. DJ Moore is a guy that's had at least 8 targets in 4 straight games. And the Packers, it's like they struggled against the run, and it's like, we need to move players up. We need to change things a little bit. And then they started struggling against the pass, and it's like they're struggling with this back and forth. I think that there could be more pass attempts in this game for the Panthers. So, DJ Moore would be the one I would choose. Nathan asked DJ Moore or John Brown. I have John Brown higher here. John Brown is like, he's the guy in Buffalo. He's the guy, the go-to. And even though Denzel Ward's a really good cornerback, he's been beat over the top a little bit. And John Brown has been just so consistent. I can't fade John Brown. But DJ Moore is still a good play. Let's see. Cabo, full PPR, pick 1. OBJ, Christian Kirk, Tate. Pick 1? Oh, I'm playing Odell Beckham. I mean, I'm not. I on this show last week, we had talked about kind of the things that worried me about Beckham last week, and I didn't want to play. Sitting him against Chris Harris Jr. was not the worst idea. He didn't finish the game terribly though. I mean, it wasn't a terrible game. It was actually the most anyone's performed against Chris Harris Jr. all year long. So Tre'Davious White, tough matchup again, but I can't sit him for a guy like Christian Kirk, who, I mean, I like Kirk a lot this week. I have him as a top 20 receiver, but a guy that hasn't necessarily produced every single week. It's more like dealing with that rookie inconsistency of Kyler Murray. The offense in general, the matchup is fantastic. That's why I love Kirk as a DFS play. I think he should be in lineups, but if you're asking me to choose between one, I would take Odell. Ferraz, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Sad choice, but Trubisky, Kyle Allen, or Hoyer. Thanks for the help. I would play Kyle Allen. I've talked about the Panthers and how I think they match up with the Packers. I think Kyle Allen's the play I would go with here. Hoyer, probably not going to throw the ball a whole lot. The wide receivers they're missing. Trubisky has just been brutal. I can't trust Trubisky until I see like a multiple game stretch where he's playing better, because right now he's not running the ball at all. And if he can't throw it, then what are we doing? Let's see. Ryan, full PPR, Chris Carson or David Montgomery. Their matchups have me perplexed. I mean, I'm playing Chris Carson here. I like David Montgomery as a top 12 play, but I cannot ever sit Chris Carson. I can't do it. The guy sees 20 touches every single week, and he plays for a much better offense than David Montgomery. All right, let's see. Juju, Gallup, or Ty Johnson for flex PPR league. I'm probably going to say I don't know how many touches I can guarantee for Ty Johnson. There should be a lot, and it's a decent matchup against the Bears, believe it or not. But we don't know how many touches he's going to get. They haven't trusted him in a giant role, so I might go with Michael Gallup here. Gallup's matchup is not bad. Minnesota, I know it scares a lot of people, but I posted this stuff in the primer before, is that there are the number, I'm going to pull up the numbers so that I can quote it for you guys. The average wide receiver 3 or better performance last year in the NFL was 11.7 PPR points, okay? The Vikings have allowed 13 wide receivers to hit that mark. That is more than any other team in the NFL. Nobody else has allowed more than 12. So, I mean, when you think about Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup, it's like, usually it's like, obviously Amari's going to be the guy, but if Amari's dealing with that injury, he might see Xavier Rhodes. Trey Waynes has really struggled a little bit in coverage. So I might go Gallup there. I think Ty Johnson probably comes with the best floor, but Gallup might be worth the risk. Robert Dolberg, great show tags, thank you. Non-PPR, choose 2 wide receivers. Curtis Samuel, Marvin Jones, Jamison Crowder. Curtis Samuel is definitely one for me. And then the other one, it's non-PPR. That's really tough. I'd still probably go with Jamison Crowder just because Marvin Jones, he was already someone that I was low on. He was outside my top 30 wide receivers with Stafford. So going to Driscoll, probably not going to help matters. So I'll say Curtis Samuel and Jamison Crowder. Gennaro, Kenyon Drake or Latavius Murray? I'd go Latavius. I mean, I know that the Cardinals are talking about getting Drake and David Johnson on the field together, but let me see it first. Latavius with Breeze in the lineup. So many people have tied the idea that Latavius Murray can't be played to Teddy Bridgewater. It was a different offense, guys. Like they run. Trust me, Latavius Murray's going to be back in that Mark Ingram role. He scored in week 1. He obviously looked good at Breeze before their bye week, but with even Kamara coming back, I think Murray's going to be a flex play for the rest of the season. Like, I think you could stick him in as a flex and, hope for a touchdown. That's basically what it comes down to. I'm going to go Latavius here. Chad Smith asks, good morning, Tex. Good morning. Ronald Jones or Juju full PPR? This is Ronald Jones for me. I'm worried about Juju, guys. Like, I was worried before the whole foot injury thing came about. Now he's got a toe injury that popped up midweek. It sounds like it's the same injury that bothered him earlier in the year. They're expecting him to play. There's still a chance he doesn't. But Ronald Jones, he's a starter, and I get it. It's been like terrible to trust a Bucs running back, but knowing that Ronald Jones started last week and that he looked pretty decent against the Seahawks, there's really no reason they take away that role. So I'd go Ronald Jones there. Rob asks, Watkins or Latavius Murray in a PPR? In a PPR, I might go Sammy Watkins just because it's a PPR. Sammy Watkins, when he's in the lineup, the guy is seeing like 8 targets a game essentially. So he's a guy that he's like a big part of their offense. Tennessee missing a lot of players on defense this week. They're struggling quite a bit. And then Latavius Murray, I just talked about him. I think he's a flex play, but in a PPR, I'm probably going to side with Watkins. Let's see. Eric asks, Amendola, Demaryius Thomas, or Alexander Madison, full PPR flex, especially with Stafford out. Yeah, it worries me a little bit. Jeff Driscoll might check down a little bit more, but Amendola, the matchup isn't great. Like, Buster Skrine has actually been a surprise. He's been one of the surprises for the Bears this year. Like, I was actually really down on that move when the Bears did it, but he hasn't been the problem at all. Hasn't been a good matchup for players. Alexander Madison, don't like that matchup against the Cowboys. You don't need to play him. I'm going to go with Demaryius Thomas here. He was a letdown for me last week, but I really should not let 1 week dictate how I feel about a player, so I'll say Demaryius. Leanne in Texas asks, hi, Tags. Hey, Gerald, Everett, or OJ Howard, full point PPR? Thanks, buddy. This is tough. I mean, I probably go with Gerald Everett just because of the consistency that he's had in terms of like his target share, his air yards, his opportunity. With Brandon Cooks out, if there's one area of the field that the Steelers can be beat, it's up the middle of the field. They struggle with slot receivers a little bit. So I probably go with Everett. My heart tells me OJ Howard. My heart says that OJ Howard's going to have a big week, but again, I can't rely on that. So that's why I'm going to say Gerald Everett. Let's see. Chris Berry asks, Gurley or John Brown, PPR? Opinions seem really split. I can understand why they would be split, and Pittsburgh's not a good matchup for running backs, but I mean, Gurley does have 6 touchdowns over his last 4 games. Jared Goff has really struggled to throw touchdowns against good defenses. So, I mean, I'm going to go with Gurley here. I just think it's guaranteed touches. Brown probably has the higher ceiling, which is really weird to say. But I would play Gurley. I think his ceiling, the touchdown ceiling is there for him. Bye, Felicia. Okay. So, I don't know, Rick. Let's see. Alex asks, what's up, Tags? Half PPR flex, McKissick, Marvin Jones, or A.J. Brown. This would be A.J. Brown. With Corey Davis out of the lineup, I think the target floor for A.J. Brown gets to 6 targets with a ceiling of 8 to 10 targets. So in a game that they're probably going to be losing, I'm going to go with A.J. Brown there. Ricky Sanderleg, 920. PPR, David Johnson or Jalen Samuels. Thanks, Tag Daddy. Okay. I'm going to go with David Johnson. I'm willing to play David Johnson. He's used a lot more as a receiver in that offense, and I know Tampa Bay is a really tough matchup against running backs. They've only allowed like 3.2 yards per carry on the season, but David Johnson, again, he doesn't really rely on a lot of his production on the ground. He's been used through the passing game, so I'll go David Johnson there. Full PPR, do I flex Tariq Cohen or Ginn Jr.? That's a really close one. I have Cohen around RB 31. I have Ginn around wide receiver 34 or something like that. So, I mean, it's really close. That's a toss-up for me. I'd probably go with Cohen just because he has a little bit more guaranteed work. Quan Smith obviously seems healthy back in the lineup. It could take away some of that Ginn some of those Ginn targets. I do like Ginn, but he does come with a little bit more risk than Tariq Cohen. So I guess I'll say Cohen. Aaron asked, hey, Tags, Brina or Sony Michel rest of the season? It's weird that we have to answer that, but it's hard. I mean, I might say Brina, honestly. Like the 49ers, that's a stat that I threw out in the primer this week, is that there hasn't been a game this year where the running backs have totaled fewer than 33 touches. So there's plenty of touches to go around. He's getting 13 to 17 touches. He's more efficient than Sony Michel. Michel has a tougher matchups going forward. I might go Matt Brina, honestly. That's a good question, but I think it might be Matt Brina. LaShawn McCoy inactive? What? If that's the case, then Damian Williams becomes, oh yeah, there it is, LaShawn McCoy out. So if that's the case, Damian Williams is a guy that, like, I am going to move up my rankings quite a bit. This matchup against Tennessee is phenomenal. Like, legit, they're without Gerald Casey, they're without Jayon Brown, one of their linebackers, they're without Malcolm Butler in the secondary. Like, the Chiefs should probably be able to do whatever they want in this game. So, yeah. Flex, so Darryl Williams, does Darryl Williams become viable? I mean, I'm going to look at it right now. I'm going to tell you where I'm going to move him to. Let's see. So LaShawn McCoy is going to be out, which means Darryl Williams is probably going to move into the RB 35 range. Maybe even a better play than that, to be honest with you. That's a tough one. Trying to figure out how they're going to approach this backfield, but it seems like but it does narrow it so much. You guys are helping me. Like, I'm figuring this out as we're going here. So, yeah, I think I'm going to put Darryl Williams as the RB 32 just ahead of Kalen Ballage. I don't like Ballage very much for obvious reasons. Yeah, that's where I think I'm going to go. So, he is in the flex consideration, basically, because that's what you were asking, is he flex worthy? It just depends on who you're flexing him over. But, yeah, he's in the consideration now. Eric asked, good morning, Tags. Pick 2 PPR, Galladay, Pascal, or DJ Moore. I think I might go with Pascal and DJ Moore. DJ Moore for sure, but Pascal and Galladay, you know what? No, I can't do it. I'm going to go with Galladay and DJ Moore. Like, think about it. We have Galladay with a backup quarterback, but we also have Zach Pascal with a backup quarterback. And I know that Brian Hoyer looked good and he hit him on a touchdown last week, but it should be a run-heavy game script for them. So I'm going to go with Galladay and DJ Moore. I'm going to take the fact that Galladay still sees 6, 7, 8 targets, which should be fine. I can't say the same for Pascal. Eric asked, okay, here we go. Full PPR. Everett or Gesicki? I have Everett slightly higher. It's very close between those two. Like, in the tight end rankings, like when I got to the Everett, Gesicki, and Howard range, like those are all tight there, but I'm going to go with Everett. Just a bigger sample than Mike Gesicki is all. Richard S. Tannehill or Josh Allen? Josh Allen's the play here. Tannehill losing Corey Davis definitely lowers his ceiling a little bit. I do anticipate them throwing the ball a little bit more, but I'm going to go with Josh Allen. Knuckleheaded 5.7, Chris Carson or Aaron Jones full PPR. Now, these are questions that you guys are nuts. Like, it blows my mind that you guys have these questions. Now, if this is a DraftKings question, and it's like you're just trying to choose between the two, Aaron Jones is probably the guy I play. It's a better matchup. The Carolina Panthers allow a rushing touchdown every like 15.6 carries, which is like the most often in the NFL. So, I mean, I like Aaron Jones quite a bit. That game is supposed to be really cold. I like both those running backs. They should both be played, to be honest, but I'm hoping that's a DFS question. But if it is a DFS question, guys, make sure you put in there that it's DraftKings or FanDuel or something like that, because I feel bad saying that, but they both should be played in season-long leagues. So there's no reason you can't get those guys in your lineup. Justin asked, half PPR, Tevin Coleman or Jalen Samuels? I go Tevin Coleman. I know he had a down week last week, but Jalen Samuels, he's not doing much on the ground. The Rams are not a particularly great matchup. They haven't allowed a whole lot through the air to running backs, where it's like the Colts, they were a team that you wanted to attack that area of the field. So I'll take Tevin Coleman here. Thank you guys so much again. I just want to pause for a second just to say thank you so much for showing up. Definitely appreciate all you guys being in here for the weekly shows. If for whatever reason I don't get to your question, you guys can see that it kind of goes through fast, and I get to as many as I can. But if you guys don't see that, just check out the primer. It's an article I write that has over 30,000 words a week in it, where I write a paragraph on every player from every game to help you guys with those decisions, because obviously I can't get to everyone every week, but I want to help you guys as much as I can. And also make sure to click that like button. It really does help out the channel, whatever the way YouTube does it. But it obviously helps show that the show is something that you guys do enjoy. It's obviously the like button for a reason. And feel free to subscribe if you'd like to as well. Let's see. Getting back to the questions, Bing Bong Day. I think I answered a question for you already, but standard Ronald Jones, Stephon Diggs, or Allen Robinson. Not Allen Robinson. He's out of the conversation. He's going to be shadowed by Darius Slay. It's not that you can't play him, but it's not a great matchup. Stephon Diggs, also not a great matchup against Dallas, but still he's probably locked into 7 targets, 8 targets, and that's Stephon Diggs. You kind of play him at that point. Ronald Jones, starting running back. Oh man, this is standard. This is tough. I might go at Ronald Jones, to be honest with you. I might. Stephon Diggs is close, but go with your gut between Ronald Jones and Stephon Diggs. There's probably worse scenarios that could take place with Ronald Jones, but knowing he's the starter, it's tough, man. If it was a PPR, I'd say Diggs. Let's see. Michael asked, Marvin Jones, Auden Tate, or is there a sneaky wide receiver sleeper you'd recommend over either of them? Ted Ginn is someone that I'd probably play over both those guys. I don't know if that's considered a sneaky play. He should be owned, but he's available in a lot of leagues, so he's someone that I would say. But if you wanted to play one of those guys, I'd probably say Marvin Jones would be the better one. I'm not a fan of Auden Tate against that Ravens defense. Finn asks, hey Tags, full PPR pick 2, Watkins, Boyd, Samuels. Samuels is in there for sure, and I'd go at Watkins. Tyler Boyd, the last time he played against this Ravens team, they had Marlon Humphrey in the slot, and that's where he's going to stay. And he basically held Tyler Boyd to just 3 catches for 10 yards. I think that was the final line. It's a tough matchup going to the backup quarterback, Ryan Finley. We just don't know what to expect there. There's a whole lot of ifs, ands, or buts with that Bengals team. It's just best to go with the guys that are guaranteed some work. Let's see. Carter asked, Pascal, Latavius Murray, Ty Johnson, pick 2, half PPR. Of those, I would probably bench Latavius Murray. It's close between him and Pascal. I'm going to play Ty Johnson, who should see, I think he should see 15 touches in this game. We don't know what the coaching staff's going to do, but that's where I lean Ty Johnson there for sure. And then between Pascal and Latavius, it's very close. But Pascal, that one is tough. I'd probably play Pascal, but it's close. Let's see. All right. John says, hey Tags, Darnold or Fitz? I would play Darnold over Ryan Fitzpatrick. We don't know what the offense will look like without Preston Williams. It really stinks because Preston Williams was a guy that was helping detract a little bit of attention away from Devante Parker. But either way, I don't mind Fitz this week. I don't think he's a bad play, but I'd play Darnold. Larry asked, morning Tags, good morning. Stephon Diggs, Latavius Murray, or Gallop? This one's Diggs. I would go Diggs there. Mark Weeks asked, Curtis Samuel versus Devante Parker. I have Samuel I think like 2 spots higher. So I mean, I'm just slightly higher on Samuel than I am on Parker, but I think both are playable. But if you have to ask me to pick, I would go with Samuel. Jeff Chandler asks Tyler Boyd or Marvin Jones. I guess I'll go with Tyler Boyd. I just think that his target floor is higher. Neither have good matchups, and I'm not a fan of either. I don't think either of them is in my top 35. So, I mean, I'm down on both of them. But if Ted Ginn's available, I might go Ted Ginn and just play for the upside there. Let's see. Will asks, Cook, Dwelly, or Gesicki? Kittel is my starting tight end. I would go with Gesicki. I would just play Gesicki and not even wait on Kittel. It seems like he's very unlikely to play. So, I'll just go with Gesicki there. And if you guys missed that was a stat that I'm going to pull up and I'm going to read to you guys because I know not everybody reads Twitter religiously or anything like that. But I went through, and in terms of opportunity for tight ends, so there have been just 6 tight ends since week 5 who have averaged at least 55 air yards per game at the tight end position, which air yards basically is how far the ball travels in the air, on targets to that player. So like usually you can find opportunities to buy low on a player, opportunities to sell high. Obviously some players are better than others than doing, with those targets, but it all matters, right? The top 6, Hunter Henry, Gerald Everett, Zach Ertz, Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, and Mike Gesicki. So Mike Gesicki has been getting a lot of opportunity. So I don't think it's like a fluke that he's performing. I think that he is getting opportunity. Do I think he's better than those guys? No, but he has opportunity. It's in a good matchup against Indianapolis. So I'll go him. All right, let's see. Half PPR, Hunt or Ted Ginn? I'd play Ginn. We don't know what Hunt's workload is going to look like. My best guess is that it's going to be like a 65-35 split in favor of Chubb, but I don't know. It is all speculation, and anybody that tells you they know what that timeshare is, they don't. They haven't told us. They said that Kareem Hunt will have a role. We don't know what that means though. Let's see. Thanks for the work you do, Tags. Thanks, man. Thanks for reading it. Like, obviously, I'm doing the work I do because you guys are reading it. So thank you. Flex position, Latavius Murray or Pascal? Yeah, a lot of people have asked that question. I think I've gotten to that one already. I'd probably go Pascal just because it's just, I mean, we can't guarantee more than like 8 touches for Latavius Murray. And Pascal, it's so close between that one. I feel torn because I don't think the Colts pass a whole lot in that game, but it's almost like similar plays, right? Where it's like the matchup for Pascal is just so good that how do you pass that up? I'd probably go Pascal, but it's really close. Let's see. Friends. PPR, Mike Gesicki, Jonnu, or Doyle. I have Mike Gesicki as the best play there. Doyle is interesting, but again, if they don't pass a whole lot, that's worrisome. Jonnu Smith moved up, obviously with Delaney Walker out, knowing that Corey Davis is out. A lot of these targets are going to start funneling. Jonnu Smith moved into my top 12 for the week, but I don't have him over Gesicki. Breeze or Mahomes? I have Breeze. I don't know how much we can say that like we expect to. Okay, there it is. Corey Davis inactive, Antonio Callaway inactive, LaShawn McCoy inactive, Matt Stafford. We kind of knew that. So a lot of things that we expected, except for the LaShawn McCoy news. All right, let's see. But yeah, Breeze is he's a guy that I would consider my number 1 or number 2 quarterback play this week. Let's see, Latavius Murray or Diggs. Yeah, I would go Diggs there. I mean, I can't sit Diggs with Thielen out of the lineup. He's like the number 1 there that's locked into targets, even though it's a tough matchup. Kenny asked, full PPR, Devante Parker or Marvin Jones? I would play Devante Parker. Marvin Jones I don't like very much. I would have played Parker over Jones even if Stafford was playing. Kyle asked, hey, Tags, thoughts on Slayton this week against the Jets? Obviously, there's there's a lot of targets available with Evan Ingram out of the lineup, with Sterling Shepard out of the lineup, but it's like, I moved him into my top 50 wide receivers this week. I'm a little worrisome about him, though, because he never gets consistent targets. We can't pretend that this offense hasn't been missing targets there before. They have. We see Cody Latimer get targeted. Saquon Barkley's getting targeted. Golden Tate's getting 8+ targets. It's difficult to like him a whole lot, but you can understand that it is a decent matchup for him. I don't like Golden Tate's matchup in the slot against Brian Poole. Poole's been really good, so Slayton could be a sleeper play for sure. I still think that he's somewhat of a boomer bust wide receiver 4 type. Harrison Morris asked, half PPR, pick 2, OBJ, John Brown, Latavius. I would go with the 2 receivers there. Jose asked Kirk, Ridley, or DJ full PPR. I'm guessing that is DJ Moore. Whatever the case, I'm gonna go with Calvin Ridley here. Marshawn Lattimore is probably gonna lock up with Julio Jones. Some people are talking about, they're like, well, no, Lattimore shadowed Calvin Ridley last time. No, he didn't. So the way that it worked between those guys is that Julio Jones was covered by Lattimore, and then Ridley was doing so much damage that they decided to move Lattimore over to Ridley, and then Julio beat them for a big gain when they did that. So it's picked their poison. I would assume that Ridley's the bet. He's the best bet for production of those guys. That's where I would go. Let's see. Josh Reynolds or Juju and flex. I mean, I'm probably going to go with Juju there. I'm not like excited about it, but I don't like Josh Reynolds very much. Like, both are in bad matchups, so why not take the guy that has proven like he is the number one on his team. There's no question about that. Whereas Josh Reynolds is the number 3 at best on his team. Let's see. Tevin Coleman or Damian Williams PPR. I think I'm going with Damian Williams. I think I've gotten to the point now where it's like Damian Williams has to move up with LaShawn McCoy being inactive, because it eliminates a lot of the question marks that we had going into the game. So, yeah, I'm probably going to say that Damian Williams is the play there. All right, let's see. Ridley or Jalen? I mean, Jalen's probably the safer play, but I feel like Ridley might be worth the risk. That one's close. Roy asked Yo-Yo, David Johnson or Michael Gallup. I'd play DJ there. Gallup has been far from a sure thing. He has been getting some opportunity, but and the matchup's not terrible against Minnesota. I mean, I know the perception is, but I'd play David Johnson. Just give me those touches and hope that he's healthy. Carolyn asks, I have Aaron Jones and Samuels to start flex PPR. Brown, I'm guessing that's Marquise Brown. Yeah, Brown and Johnson, those are so like common names. It's really difficult for me to say which one I would say. Johnson, I'm guessing Ty Johnson or Pascal. I'd probably put Pascal in the flex there, to be honest with you. I just don't know the workload that Ty Johnson would get if that is in fact Ty Johnson. Let's see. Morning tags. Good morning, Chris. Who do we start for my second quarterback spot? Goff or Cousins? I have Cousins slightly higher. I mean, it's weird. I'm not a big fan of either of these quarterbacks. I don't think either of them are in great spots, but I would probably go with Cousins. I posted a stat on Twitter yesterday. If you guys missed that one, that's a fun one. I've had a lot of great responses to. Is that Mitch Trubisky has thrown more touchdowns over his last 16 games than Jared Goff has, and with playoffs included for both players. And that got a lot of bad responses. And then someone said that it was Trubisky's 6 touchdown game. That no, you'd have to go back 18 weeks to find that Trubisky game where he threw 6 touchdowns. So even over the last 18 weeks, he's out thrown for more touchdowns than Goff. So Goff hasn't been very good. I mean, he has 18 passing touchdowns over his last 16 games, which is worrisome. That's why I can't play him over Cousins, who's actually playing really well right now. Let's see, Golden Tate or Devonta Freeman, PPR flex. I'd play Devonta Freeman. Give me the guaranteed touches. Tate's matchup is not very good against the Jets. He's going to get some targets for sure, and that's why he's a top 30 wide receiver play. But, yeah, I would say that Devonta Freeman is the play there. Alberto asked, trade Tyreek Hill and Duke Johnson for Julio, PPR, because of Hill's tough playoff schedule. Hill's playoff schedule is tough, but this is basically a trade for me, like Tyreek Hill for Julio straight up. So, yeah, I would do it. His playoff schedule is tough, but Tyreek Hill's kind of like that matchup-proof receiver you kind of have to stick in your lineup. Julio's the same thing, right? And he's going to have a better opportunity. So I'm going to say that I would do that trade. Yes, I would rather have Julio than Tyreek Hill for the rest of the season. Kenny G or John Brown. This one is John Brown now that Matthew Stafford's out. That made the difference for me where I probably would have went Galladay, but I'm going to go with John Brown here. Juan Sanchez asks, hey Tags, Jalen Samuels or Matt Brina in the flex standard? I'm going to go Jalen Samuels here. I mean, he is the lead back there where Matt Brina is he's kind of like the 1B to Tevin Coleman 1A, so that's where I would go. Non-PPR, Cook or Herndon, also Juju or Boyd in the flex. Thanks. Ooh, Steven, this is a tough one. I'm not a big fan of Jared Cook. The matchup against Atlanta for tight ends hasn't been like as good as people think. Jared Cook hasn't been good to begin with. Herndon's matchup is fantastic against the Giants, but I don't know how many snaps he's going to play. I really don't. I mean, I guess I'll go Jared Cook, but I'm not excited about it. And then as for Juju or Boyd, again, two bad matchups. Two guys that I'm going to go with Juju here, just because Jalen Ramsey does not travel into the slot. He hasn't traveled in the slot with the Rams. So like basically when they played the Falcons, he did not go into the slot. So that's where I'm hoping that Juju can avoid him and get some work done. So I'll go with Juju. Gold Killer, hey Tags, love everything you do for us. Thank you. Christian Kirk, David Johnson, or Ronald Jones in the flex. I'm gonna go with David Johnson. It's just the safest play I think of the bunch. He's involved in the passing game. I'm not too worried about that. He's in RB2 range. Kirk's in wide receiver 2 range. Ronald Jones is in low end RB2 range. So they're all very similar plays, but I'd go with David Johnson. Damian Williams or Curtis Samuel, full PPR. I'd go with Damian Williams. I'm pretty sure I'm going to move him into my top 15 running backs this week, knowing that LaShawn McCoy is inactive. New Life, live from Mexico. Well, hello. Is Damian Williams worth a start over Matt Brina? Yes, he is. Anthony S. Gallop or Devante Parker PPR? This one is really close. I'm going to go to my rankings. That's one where it's like I know they're close to each other. And when I go to my rankings, I just know it removes all of my emotion out of the decision. And I just say which one I have ranked higher. I have Michael Gallup at 24. I have Devante Parker at 25. So it's kind of like a toss-up between those two, which is kind of how I felt when I saw that question pop up. All right. Where am I at? All right. Joshua asked, who do you think will finish the season, playoffs included, with more points in standard scoring, Latavius Murray or Mark Ingram? Ingram currently leads 115 to 85. Yeah, it would be Ingram for me. He's not a guy that's getting a whole lot of touches, like he's capped, but Latavius Murray is the backup. I mean, I still think Ingram will get more touches, and yeah, I'd say Ingram. Devante Parker versus Calvin Ridley. Thank you. Yeah, I like Parker this week, but Calvin Ridley would be the one I would play. I'm not scared to start Ridley. I was higher than on him than in consensus. Like I have Calvin Ridley up there as a top 15 wide receiver this week. I just, without Mohamed Sanu there, I think people are forgetting that there's more targets available in that offense, and knowing that Julio Jones is going to deal with a tougher matchup in Marshawn Lattimore, we should see Calvin Ridley work a lot. And this is kind of like the whole process over results thing, guys, where like it's digging deeper than just saying, well, Calvin Ridley's been a little bit up and down. It's like you have to look at everything that goes into it. It's like deciding that process, and I'm going to go with Ridley. Derek Beaudry, DJ Moore, Jamal Williams, or Rojo. I probably go with Ronald Jones here. Give me the guaranteed touches. Him and DJ Moore are both really good plays. I think Jamal Williams is playable too, but I'm going to go with Ronald Jones as a guy that should see 15 plus touches. I mean, you just can't find that stuff. Like you can't say that DJ Moore is locked into anything more than like 4 or 5 touches, So I'll go Ronald Jones here. Ryan Brower asks, need a flex, half point PPR, Devante Parker, Tevin Coleman, or OJ Howard? I'd probably go Tevin Coleman. Just give me the guaranteed touches. I like Parker as like a high-end wide receiver 3, low-end wide receiver 2. OJ Howard, I'm taking a chance on him in my tight end slot, but there's no way that I would start him in the flex over someone like Tevin Coleman. So I'll go back to Coleman this week. M. Sloan, tight end, Chris Herndon, OJ Howard, Janu. I got nothing. Jonu. I'm guessing that's what you meant. I was trying to make my way through it. I would go with OJ Howard of those options. That's where I'm at. Again, Herndon coming off the injury. We don't even know if he's going to split snaps. Ryan Griffin's been playing well. He's coming off a multi-week injury. I don't want to play Herndon if I can help it. Jonu is a decent play with volume, but coming off a lower volume game, it's a little worrisome. Hollister, I like Hollister in games where we know Russell Wilson's going to throw a lot. I don't think they're going to have him throw a lot. So I'm going to go with OJ Howard. Britton asked, half PPR Juju or Christian Kirk? I would play Kirk. This is even before he popped up with a toe injury. I had Christian Kirk high above him. I could also play Balaj. No. So good luck with the Christian Kirk. I like Kirk. Let's see. Disclaim morning. Sit 1. OBJ, Galladay, Gallop, Jalen Samuels. I'd probably sit Gallop. Yeah, I think I'd probably sit Gallop. I'd probably play OBJ, Galladay, and Jalen Samuels. That's where I'd go with that one. Good luck. Traquan Smith. So Traquan, he hasn't been involved in the offense really at all. I know he's been dealing with some injuries and stuff like that. So it's really, I don't want to bet on him. He's more of like a Hail Mary, like you toss in your lineup, worst case scenario. Latavius Murray or David Montgomery? David Montgomery. Top 12 running back play this week. Let's see. Tom, flex in full PPR, Crowder or DJ Moore? DJ Moore for sure. The matchup isn't anything to worry about. He's been seeing 8+ targets a week. Crowder, I mean, I don't have an issue with Crowder, but I'd go with DJ Moore. What about tight end position? Jimmy Graham or Chris Herndon? I don't like Jimmy Graham, but I'd play him over Chris Herndon. Again, if I see Herndon, I'm probably going to say and it's not to say the matchup is good. It really is, but Ryan Griffin's been playing well. We don't know how many snaps he's going to play. He was, by the way, Chris Herndon was active last week, didn't play a single snap. It was kind of like an emergency situation. We just don't know how much. He's been limited in practice throughout the week. Not original, asked Latavius Murray or Matt Brina. I'd go with Brina. Latavius Murray is creeping up the running back boards, but I would not play him over Brina. Let's see, where do I have these two? I think I have Brina around 24th running back, something like that. 23rd, and I have Latavius there at 28. So yeah, Le'Veon Bell or Tevin Coleman? I'd play Le'Veon. Tagliere. All right, yeah, I would play Le'Veon Bell over Tevin Coleman. Let's see. Good morning, Standard League. Josh Reynolds or Josh Gordon? I have them close, actually. I'd probably go with Josh Reynolds just because it's like we at least know how many snaps he's going to play. We don't know what to expect out of Josh Gordon right now. It seems like they're going to thrust him into a role, and I kind of believe that, but it's a tough matchup. He's going to see Richard Sherman the most of the time. It's been a tough matchup for receivers, so I don't feel the need to rush him into lineups. I don't like Josh Reynolds very much this week, but that's probably where I'd go. Kaz says standard flex pick one. Murray, Mixon, or Watkins. I'd probably go Latavius Murray, honestly. Just give me the guaranteed touches. It's a standard league, so the PPR would have benefited Sammy Watkins, but I'd probably go Latavius there. Rudy asked Woods or Zach Pascal. I have Zach Pascal ranked higher. I mean, Woods has been pretty brutal, guys. He hasn't been very good this year, and with Brandon Cooks being out, it should help, but it's a little worrisome, right? The next question actually features Woods in there too. Boyd, Woods, or Crowder? In that situation, I'd play Woods because Crowder's not guaranteed anything. He's been a little bit up and down, right? Boyd, tough matchup. So I'll go with Woods here and just hope for the best. Let's see. Tyler asked PPR, Kirk or Devante Parker? I have Christian Kirk higher. You really do just want to start as many players as you can against the Tampa Bay Bucs secondary. And Christian Kirk has been getting targets, the opportunities there. So it could be one of those blow-up spots where it's like, dang, I should have bought low on Christian Kirk or something like that, or played him in DFS. Good morning, Tags. Good morning, Brian. Drake versus Ty Johnson in the flex. I would play Ty Johnson. I don't know how much work Drake's going to get, honestly. Like, it could be 4 touches. It could be 12. I don't know. But I would probably guess it's going to be somewhere in between 6 and 8, and Ty Johnson should get more than that. Joseph Richardson asks, should I drop McCoy and pick up, and then it cut off? I don't know if you accidentally hit. I can't see anything else. So should you drop McCoy? It just depends on who it's for. G-Force asked Daniel Jones or Josh Allen? Josh Allen for sure. Let's see. Get to a couple more. Thank you guys so much again. And before you guys get out of here, please click the like button. It helps us out. We're almost at 500 for the day. So thank you guys for clicking that button. It really does. I appreciate it. Let me go and answer a couple more questions before I get out of here and do my own rankings, set my own lineups. Standard scoring 10-team league. Should I play Devante Parker, Curtis Samuel, or drop one for Ginn? I dropped Deante Johnson for Samuel. Did I shoot myself in the foot? No, I don't think you shot yourself in the foot. That's fine. Curtis Samuel is available. Wow. I would probably go with Curtis Samuel over Devante Parker, just slightly. I think I have Samuel at 23, Parker at 25 or something like that. So, yeah, I wouldn't drop them for Ginn, but I would probably play Curtis Samuel. Let's see. Do you have a rankings list for each position on Fantasy Pros? I do. And if you guys check it out on Twitter, it's on my Twitter account. You can go to Fantasy Pros. I posted that article this morning, or you can go to my Twitter. I posted on there. Twitter, Mike Tagliere NFL. You guys can see all the articles I post there. And again, the primer is there. The primer is the article that has a paragraph on every player. So if you're torn, I promise you can go there and it'll carry more detailed information than I could ever talk about here. It just because I've had time to just sit down and write that. So is Brandon Cooks droppable? I don't think you have to drop him if you need wins now and if you need someone to plug in your lineup. Yeah, but I preferably no. OBJ or Crowder, that's Odell Beckham Jr. And I think that's a good place to stop, guys. Thank you so much again for showing up. And I'm sure we'll see you next week because we obviously do this every week. Best of luck in your Week 10 matchups. And yeah, thanks for showing up again. Appreciate it. Until next time, lights out.